I'm Dr. Michael DiTolla, the Director of Clinical Affairs for Sirona. I'd like to welcome you to the Sirona Media Panel at the 2016 Chicago Midwinter Meeting. Today we are here to celebrate two things. The first is the introduction of chairside solid zirconia restorations, which can be now done chairside in one appointment in the same amount of time as a typical chairside CAD/CAM crown. That's truly a revolutionary step forward in what we can provide for our patients on a same-day basis. And the second thing we're here to celebrate is the presence of Allie Cook sitting next to me on my left from Dentistry Today. This has been a banner year for Dentistry Today. I think you guys have really hit a new high as far as I'm concerned with the latest
Does that have to do with our February cover?
edition, the February cover, in case anybody hasn't seen this.
Look at that.
I don't know what I did to get on it. You guys must have been real. Have you been through all the dentists once, and now you're working your way back down like A through Z, and you got to D?
He's been bugging us forever. We figured we'd let him on finally.
I wanted to tell a story about working inside of a laboratory and then leaving after 15 years to come to the other side, the force, as Sirona likes to call it, as opposed to the dark side of same-day dentistry and being able to provide something for a patient without then having to come back twice. Your husband is getting ready to have a crown.
He is.
And I don't know if he's going to have it in 2 appointments or have it in 1 appointment, but I kind of hope he has it in 2, just to see what it's like to have a temporary in his mouth for 2 weeks, because you can't appreciate same-day dentistry unless you've gone through, well, you can.
That's true.
So I don't know how he's going to choose to do it, but you can imagine getting this the same day when you're numb and the dentist prepared your tooth, and a permanent restoration put in your mouth 3 times as strong as anything else on the market. It is a big step forward, and kind of why we're here today. So thank you for coming by from Dentistry Today. One of my favorite dental journals, especially not just when I'm on the cover,
especially now.
but especially now. I wanted to give you an opportunity to ask any questions you might have about this material or the company.
Yeah, thank you. And once again, thank you all for joining us today. We're very excited about our February issue with Dr. DiTolla on the cover, of course. As the leading clinical magazine, of course, I have questions. Our readers are going to be interested to know, where did this come from? What's the technology behind it? How did it get started?
Sure. So from the Sirona side, I can tell you that probably 5 or 6 years ago, we started to see full contour zirconia get started in the market. And already at that time, it was kind of amazing how quickly dentists picked it up and started using it in their practice. And it revealed a need. It revealed that the current lot of materials we have for posterior restoration somehow weren't meeting the need. Porcelain fused to metal, you have the issue of chipping and basically a 2-part construction. Full cast gold, wonderful material, served dentistry extremely well over the years. Unfortunately, not a lot of patient acceptance. And zirconia kind of bridges that gap between tooth-colored and basically indestructible. And there's something about placing something indestructible in the mouth that dentists go for, because obviously that patient doesn't encounter problems later on and bring them back and so on and so forth. So when dentists want to do work, they want to do it once and then forget about it. And I think this is, and so zirconia, full contour zirconia kind of shut off out of the gate. And we saw that, and digital dentistry, CEREC and single visit dentistry was also shooting out of the gate extremely fast. And we said, hey, let's actually put those 2 mega trends together, because digital dentistry is something that's grown leaps and bounds over the last years, because dentists, they want to go digital. They want to offer patients single visit dentistry. As Mike said, it's a tremendous benefit for them. It's a great practice builder. And dentists like that idea. But I think some dentists got a little bit slowed down in their enthusiasm because they didn't see a great material in the posterior to solve all their problems, so to say. And I think that full contour zirconia addresses a lot of those issues. So now, in addition to our lithium disilicate solutions and our feldspathic solutions and composite materials that we have inside the CEREC portfolio today, full contour zirconia really rounds it out. So no matter what the dentist wants to do, whether the situation calls rather for more aesthetics or whether the situation calls for rather more strength, there's a solution there inside the CEREC system, potentially allowing a lot more dentists to bring single visit dentistry into their practice for their patients.
Yeah, and when Roddy said that dentists jumped on it early and often, they did so because before there was any real research on it, it bordered on irresponsible how quickly American dentists embraced this material, partly because we made this silly video where when you hit this you know, if you took a regular PFM crown and hit it with a hammer, it exploded. And if you hit one of these, it drove it into the wood and nothing broke. And it was this real kind of gut level reaction from the dentist about, this is strong. I want to be able to do this. But it was long before we had, 5 years of clinical research like we had now. But that's how much of a demand there was for a strong material. And the dentist to your left, Dr. Mike Skramstad,
yes.
somebody who's been working with really aesthetic chairside restorations for a long time. I thought he was going to hate this material because it doesn't look as good as some of the other materials that Roddy mentioned. But Mike, what have your feelings been? You've had a chance to work with zirconia for a while.
Yeah,
now.
I was a little bit skeptical when we first started, basically on aesthetics. But I was telling Mike a story that when I first started doing this, I would mill an Emax and mill a zirconia. I have 2 milling units, and I would mill it on every single restoration I did. And at first, I would put in mostly the Emax. And just out of habit, it looked a little bit better. And after a while, maybe I'm going to put this one in. And it's a funny true story that I was trying these 2 restorations in a certain patient's mouth. He's like, that second one felt like it fit way better. And it was interesting that he would say that because the 2 things that I noticed that really made a difference for me is I found that all the materials fit well, but there was something about zirconia. I couldn't really quite put my finger on it, and I still can't put my finger on it, but I think of the last 30 restorations I've done, I've had 0 adjustments.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can attribute
Great.
that to is the fact that it's milling so much bigger and it's more precise, and then when you sinter it shrinks down to it. So that was the first thing I noticed. So like, these things fit amazing. I never have to make any adjustments almost ever. And you kind of reminisce a little bit as I'm putting these in with conventional cement. I'm like, this is sweet. I never want to go back. And
that's a good feeling.
From a perspective of somebody that's been using CEREC for a long time, I would say the best thing about it was the 2 best things were certainly the fit, the no adjustments, and the cementing. As an educator, so we train at Spear Education on a weekly basis. Thousands of dentists go through there every year. And I would say one of the biggest challenges also that this is going to overcome is we always have to teach dentists how to prep in a little bit different way to make glass ceramic successful. And with this, it's just one of those things where you could really do whatever you want. If you want to keep your prep the way that you've always kept it, it'll work. If you want to change your prep to more of a ceramic prep, zirconia will work. So I like the flexibility of the prep design as well.
I think that's one of the key messages, for those who have sat on the sidelines with this technology, is to say, look, you can join the CEREC community of dentists. You can start offering single visit dentistry, and you don't have to change your clinical behaviors. Yeah. And I think that's an important hurdle to lower for the market, and so that's part of what Sirona is so excited about with this market launch.
Yeah, I think I told Roddy a while ago, I said, I mentioned Emax because it's been the benchmark, and I said, listen, in order for zirconia to be accepted, you're going to have to be able to do it in the same exact amount of time as Emax. And he said, okay. I never really thought he was going to do it, but because the technology, quite honestly, didn't exist to do it that fast.
I actually didn't do anything. I just took that back and told the engineers, make sure that we could do it in the same amount of time.
But I mean, that's important. So
and
you can
and
do
they
it.
did it. They
and
pulled
they did
through.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
And they did it.
So you mentioned some of the other Sirona products. I mean, how do you feel that this fits in with other offerings from Sirona?
In terms of the materials now, so I think, dentistry needs more than one material to answer the clinical needs, yeah? And as I said, as you move towards the anterior, obviously aesthetics become more of a concern, and so you need materials with higher translucencies. And the natural trade-off in materials is, as you go up in translucency, you go down in strength. And the opposite is also true. So as you go towards the posterior, strength becomes the primary concern, and the aesthetics less so. And that's good, because that's exactly what happens with the materials. You can increase strength, but aesthetics goes down. And so at the end of the day, a clinician needs a wide spectrum of materials in order to answer all the clinical needs that they're going to find in their practice. And I think where this market launch has changed the game, so to say, is up until now, we never had a complete posterior solution like what we have now with full contour zirconia. Now a dentist can place a full contour zirconia and know that, hey, no matter what, that restoration's going to last. That patient's not going to come back unsatisfied and so on. And I think that's probably one of the triggers where a lot of people are going to become more excited about the technology than even in the past.
Yeah, that was a great question, Ali, and I wish we could have asked Roddy that 5 years ago. and heard what his answer would have been, because it would have been almost by definition more of an incomplete answer because you didn't have this material at the time. And so it is a great question because we're not getting rid of the other materials. There's still a lot of times on front teeth where you want to use the most aesthetic material you can. Now it's going to be far from the strongest. In fact, it might even be the weakest material, so you have to bond it into place. But it's going to look better. But for back teeth, it's nice to have something almost indestructible. Like, try to break that.
Just on the spot.
No, put it in your mouth and bite down on it. I want to see you try to break that. Let me use your hand as a hammer, and I'll show you just how strong this is. So you're right. It's a great addition to the product line where we've always had weaker, good-looking materials available for us chairside, but now we finally have the strongest material available. The only thing stronger than this is gold. And patients, it's amazing to me. It used to just be women didn't want gold, but now guys don't want it either.
Yeah, they're going away from it, it seems.
Yeah. Would you Would you let me put a gold crown in your mouth?
Whatever you want to do is fine.
Oh, there's our dream patient, Michael. See, but she doesn't need any crowns. But.
No, it's so far so good.
I know.
We'll see.
Keep your fingers crossed. So yeah, it's a great addition to the product line. None of the CEREC dentists have to stop using anything they're currently using. It's just, for a lot of the crowns we do being in the back of the mouth where biting forces are really high and there's not a lot of room. It's a great
you might not have enough reduction. So as a CEREC dentist, I can tell you when you're kind of running into that gray zone where you don't have enough thickness of the material, most of us still try to push the materials too far that we have because we don't want to send it to the lab, so we'll try to do it chairside, and then you risk it breaking. And that's the one thing we want to avoid, is because when you come in from a production standpoint, you're redoing something again for free. It's almost cost you double. So it's nice to have a material now that I think we said we could go down to 0.6 millimeters.
Yeah, that's what
roughly.
We've always said. Roddy will tell you the official word on the street. From Germany is 1.0, 1 millimeter, but
all these things
I just
are covered
based on the science.
All these things are covered in the user's manual.
We don't read. If you're about to say manuals, we don't read manuals.
We don't read manuals.
You know what we read?
Yeah.
Dentistry Today. That's what we read. We don't read the manuals, but we read Dentistry Today. You guys have really done an amazing job, though, keeping up with all the clinical stuff. And putting clinical articles in there. Usually when it comes to like the leaders issue, I've got a tiny picture of myself, and you must have just looked at it and said, look at that face, he deserves...
It's just not big enough, we need a full cover.
We need a full cover. I love the oversized format. You guys have done some amazing things. It is a great read from cover to cover for those of us still practicing and wanting to learn about the clinical aspects of dentistry. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You also do the excellent Wednesday Watch.
Thank you.
If people haven't gone online to see your podcast that you do on a weekly...
Yes, go to dentistrytoday.com every
basis.
Wednesday. You'll see me, and if you have ideas for stories or any feedback, let me know.
And I'd love to give you one at one time on chairside solid zirconia. That
Absolutely.
We could do something, a little
like
excerpt that we could put on the Wednesday Watch as well. Well, Allie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For coming on and being our guest, and thanks to our panel as well.
Thanks for answering all my crazy questions.
They were actually all very good. None were crazy. So on behalf of myself, my esteemed panel, and Dentistry Today, I want to thank you for your time and your continued commitment to quality dentistry.